Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Todd Obert, President and CEO of Productive, joined here alongside me, technically, philosophically, I guess RPO-ly, Pete Greco, our VP of Sales and Technology. And today we're going to talk about the new normal for rapid recovery. A lot of stuff has been changing in the recovery management marketplace, even the last 12 months, and we wanted to touch base with you, let you know how that world is changing, so that you know, if you're on the right track, awesome, and if you are unaware of some of the stuff that's happening, welcome, and hopefully you will enjoy this. If you have been to our events in the past, you know how we roll, right? We meet Productive in 1 minute. Then we talk a little bit. We do some slides, but then we get right into the technology and show you how it happens. Now, today, Pete is going to be going back and forth between live technology and some of the examples that are happening. So, Pete, did you you wanted to kick off with technology, or you want me to drive right into the Meet Productive in 1 minute?
Yeah, no, you go ahead with Meet Productive in 1 minute, and then I'll take it from there.
All right. Sounds like he's cooking in the tech lab in the back room, so we'll let him boil up some tasty data recovery and go from there. So first, let's meet Productive in 1 minute. Well, who is Productive Corporation? I am so glad you asked. Productive Corporation provides security and storage solutions, mainly software and services for mid-size companies. We have a dedicated staff that can help you with technical issues, can set you up with service needs, and can help you with licensing and other issues, so you don't have to go navigate the scary world all by yourself. We also implement, test, and optimize the products that we are selling. We do everything from security assessments, penetration tests, gateway configuration optimization, kind of storage analysis, recovery time objective, recovery point objective type of services to make sure that your environment is configured and working optimally for your goals. We also produce third-party content around recovery management, security trends, tips, and tricks. All of this can be found at productivecorp.com/content, as well as our YouTube channel. The bottom line is we have the resources to help you. Help at productivecorp.com, 800-726-4099. We are here to help. Now, one of the ways that we do that is by presenting kind of pertinent, relevant technology. We've been running the Knowledge Series for the past couple years and have had some great success with the community in really fleshing out some topics that don't always get talked about in a lot of other venues, right? And so here we're talking about something very pragmatic in what is happening in the new world of recovery, right? But we'll also talk about current threats. We just did one on CryptoLocker, and we have a wide variety of topics that you should check out. But today, first things first, Pete Greco is going to talk to us about the new normal for recovery management. Pete is our VP of Sales and Technology, and he has quite a show in store for us today. I can't wait to see what he has to show us. And even though Pete is a little under the weather, I believe that he will make your technology needs bright and sunny. He will. It'll be fully recovered, and I will try to recover from this by turning it over to Pete Greco. Pete.
All right, thanks, Todd, and thanks everybody for hopping on with us today. We're going to get right into it. So the problems haven't changed, right? So we're talking about the new way of doing stuff, but the problems remain the same. And I've ranked them from least likely down to most likely to actually occur. So at the big level, you want to make sure if the whole enterprise goes down, right, flood, hurricane, falls into the earth, we're able to stay in business. Still extremely important, not as likely to occur. Right now, major catastrophes, AC goes out in the server room, causes everything to overheat. Fire on your floor, fire in the server room, right? Fire in the building, smoke damage, this kind of stuff, major power outages. This kind of stuff is happening all the time. Not likely to occur in any one environment, though it is something we talk to folks about. More common, and I think everybody's going to be with me here, right? Motherboard pops, maybe that fan quits and everything overheats inside the chassis, right? Spinning disk goes bad. This kind of stuff happens all the time. We need to be able to recover data from those scenarios. And then, of course, and then we've labeled it here, individual disasters, right? Accidentally overwrote my presentation, accidentally deleted a critical file, whatever it might be. Frequently, we're needing to go back and recover that Word doc or PowerPoint, individual mail message, maybe it's an entire My Documents folder, whatever it is, right? So these are the things that a lot of our end users are faced with on for some people reporting a daily basis, right? So definitely need to be figuring out how to do a better job. So the old school, as we labeled here, right, we're doing that full backup on Friday night, and then we're doing incrementals Monday through Thursday, and then rinse and repeat, right? So starting over again for some of the even medium-sized to large environments, right? Driving straight from the source to the tape can be quite slow. Might not be able to complete the backup before the end of the weekend is up, and now we're running into a decision of the servers are running slow because the backup is still running. Do we kill the backup and let the users get to work, or do we make sure to complete that backup so that if we have an outage, we have the capability to recover? Managing tapes, quite a pain. Recovering from tape, quite slow. Right, but we still need tape for getting data off-site and long-term storage and this kind of stuff. Because of the way we're running the backups, our RTO and RPO can be, right, our data could be a day old. So if we have an outage at 5 p.m., we're going to last night's backup to recover. We're a full day out of whack. Finding that data, spinning the tape, recovering the data, we could be spending 3 or 4 or 5 hours actually spinning the tape and recovering the data, right? And so now we're even further out of whack, right? But that was as good as we could do it previously without going to a clustered high availability environment. And there, if we're talking about data corruption or data loss, that's frequently spreading across the cluster. So a corrupted database gets corrupted on all 3 clustered servers, right, or on both your source and your highly available server, right? And so backup is still a requirement even in that kind of setup, and we still need to recover as quickly as we can to keep the enterprise running efficiently. So lots of major advancements, right, have happened over the past 5, 6, 7 years. And so now the new school kind of eliminates a little bit of these hassles. Now, you still might need a clustered and highly available environment if the answer to the question of what is my recovery time objective and what's my recovery point objective, if the answer to that is 0, I can't be missing any data and I can't have any downtime. High availability is still the step that you need to that you need to take. Now, not every system is critical to require that, and even in that scenario, you still need to be doing backups so that we can recover from accidental or intentional deletions, data corruption, or this kind of thing where both the source side and the replica are corrupted. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to get that recovery point objective down to be a lot more efficient and effective for our environment. So when we have that 5 p.m. outage, rather than going to last night's backup, we're going to last hour's backup or the last half hour's backup, right? And so now our data is much, much more recent to what it's ever been. Now, in the case of somebody accidentally deleting a file in the previous week, we might still need to go back to a point in time, and so we can have that capability as well. Not everything is going to be from the most recent backup. Maybe we need to go to earlier today or early this morning, or choose a day from last week or 2 weeks ago. So you still want to have those kinds of capabilities. Now, when it comes to the recovery, we have a lot of capabilities to take these bare metal recoverable backup files, right? So we can take that whole thing and rebuild a brand new physical server, or we can build a brand new virtual guest using that. But we can take another step and we can convert that BMR file right after the backup into an offline virtual guest. And so now if we have a full system outage, rather than copying data onto new gear or into a new location, we can simply start up an offline virtual replica of that production server, whether it were physical or virtual, and we can be recovered in the time that it takes for that machine to boot up. And that's really changing the capabilities to react, respond, and recover quickly. Takes a lot less time to do it. We can be back in action in a fraction of the time, minutes instead of hours, and it's really creating a much easier way to keep our enterprises running. So we're going to take a look here how Productive has changed its backup environment, right? So previously we were doing the same thing, Friday full, Monday through Thursday incremental. Now we don't back up at night at all anymore because our data doesn't change while nobody is here. So rather than backing up through the night, we actually back up all throughout the day. And so now if we have that 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock p.m. Outage, depending on the server, we can go back to 30 minutes ago or an hour ago, have fresh data. We can go to our offline virtual machine and spin that up, and most of our servers take between 4 and 6 minutes to boot up, so we can be fully recovered and have our team back in action in under 10 minutes. And so this is the stuff that we're going to take a look at. So what I have done is gone into our production print server, and I've taken a static snapshot of the system time and the clock here, so that we've got some time stamping here. I've just turned this into a JPEG file that I have saved on my desktop. Then what I've done is I've come in and I've already started a current backup job, and so it's this machine here, Soundgarden. I'm just in my Arcserve management console, right? And so I have a backup that's running, and if I click on this now, I can come over here and get some information on where I'm at. So a two-step process is happening. First, I did my incremental backup. This backup is going off every hour on schedule. You can also do an on-demand backup, which is what I've done, right? So, but otherwise, it's going to go off on schedule. It's going to do that incremental backup and update the bare metal recoverable file. It's infinite incrementals now, so I don't ever have to come back and do a full backup, though I can if I want to. If I want to export a full out to my offsite location, and I want to keep 12 monthly fulls or 52 weekly fulls or whatever it is, right? I can still accomplish those goals. But for my production recovery and data protection, right? I'm going to keep that data locally. I'm going to recover it locally. I can go back to a very long point in time, which we'll take a look at, and I'm able to really recover quickly because I'm going from disk back to disk, and I can go back to multiple points in time, and I'm not wasting any of my recovery points during the hours when data doesn't change. So again, we're only backing up during the day. We don't back up at all on the weekends, and we don't back up overnight. Now, if you have a 24/7 shop, you may need to back up around the clock, and you'll have the capability to do so, right? But you can customize those backup jobs to really fit what your business schedule is. So again, you're not going to have 8 recovery points from a Saturday when data hasn't changed throughout that whole day. So let's take a look at how we can start recovering. So we've got our backup job running. This is going to finish up in just a second. Let's go back to our file server here. Again, I've got my clock picture. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. Right? So now that's gone into the recycle bin. Assuming that I haven't deleted my recycle bin, theoretically I could come in there. But if I've corrupted that file, I've accidentally oversaved that file, right? And undelete might not be in my card. So we've simulated getting rid of this. Let's go ahead and see if we can recover this file. So to start our individual file recovery now, we're going to be able to just click on the machine type. There's actually quite a few ways you can go about doing this. We can do it from the actual machine. We can drill into the console here, which is the way that I like to do it personally. As I pop this out, now I'm looking at just that Soundgarden file server here. And as I'm looking at my dashboard, you can see where I have these green boxes. Each day here, I have multiple incremental backups that I've done throughout the day. Now, I'm keeping tons of recovery points here. So if I go back into January now, right, whoops, didn't do that the right way. As I go back into January, I have lots of days here that I can click on and actually go to different recovery points. Now, what we want to do is we want to recover a file that we've created just a little bit ago here. So I need to really be looking at today. So I'm just going to hop back on to today. And if I look at my timestamps here, I can see where my recovery point is, right? So I can hop in here now and start looking for that file. Now, 2 ways to do it. I can click on this restore button and I can go through the wizard. One of my favorite ways to do things, though, is to mount that recovery point, and then I can just use my Windows Explorer as a way to come back in and check stuff out, right? So I'm going to go ahead and mount that now. We're going to call it Drive W, and I can mount this to my local machine. I'm actually just mounting this right inside of the production machine, since what we're simulating here is that we've just lost a file. We haven't lost the server, right? I'm going to mount this back into that original server. You might want to mount it to a different unit or mount it to your local workstation if you're just trying to review data or get that information. So that's been mounted now. So let's hop back in, and I'm going to go to my Explorer, and we'll scroll down to our Drive W, which we just mounted. And as we do that now, we've got the whole backup. Here you can see I've done this, I've rehearsed this, right? So this isn't my current picture. I'm actually going to drill into my users, drill into the admin account, drill into the desktop, and now I'm going to be able to drag that right out of there. And if I double click on this, you can see we've got our current date and time stamp from when we've created this, right? So now I've just done a real quick recovery. Did not take me very long at all. I could drag out a whole folder, multiple files. Now that I have this out, I can do anything that I want with it, right? So we're rolling there. Now let's go ahead and redelete this, or maybe we don't need to do this, because the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to simulate losing the whole machine. So let me first unmount that backup, and then we're going to hop into this. I'm going to go ahead and just shut this machine down. So we're going to turn it off. Now that's going to go ahead and turn off. Let's hop over to our HyperV Manager, and I'm going to take a look at the offline virtual machines that I've created. You can see it's giving me an error because that's already shutting down, so it can't connect to that server any longer. So here's our HyperV Manager. I am actually connecting this to the Arcserve appliance, which is where I'm sending my backups to, and then I'm creating offline virtual machines of all of my production boxes, and the one that we're going to be focusing on right here is UDP VM _Soundgarden. So the defaults for any offline virtual guest that I'm creating is UDP VM, so I don't get confused when I'm looking at this and thinking that this is my production machine. We'll take a look and see where we're at in the shutdown of our production box. Just take a look at my HyperV Manager. I'm running this on our production host, so we'll monitor it there. So if I slide this over, we'll just make this a little bit narrower. Here we go. So our machine has gotten turned off. So that's my production guest. And now we'll take a look. The Arcserve console is going to be monitoring that production machine. And it's going to be looking at it about every 10 seconds. And when it doesn't identify a heartbeat over a 2-minute time frame, so it's going to check in every 10 seconds, and once it hasn't identified that heartbeat for 2 minutes, a setting set by me, I could make that a little bit narrower, I could make it a little bit broader, depending on what I like, it's going to go ahead and fire this up automatically. So I'm at home, I'm safely tucked away in my bed, this host goes down, more than one of these virtual guests will fire up automatically. And so that's what we're going to see next. Okay, that just started. So we're rolling, right? The recovery is happening automatically now. Now, I can also set this to be more of a manual start. So rather than letting the system choose when to start up these offline virtual machines, I can get an email alert, and then I can go and do maybe a visual inspection or do whatever I want to do before I actually start my recovery process here. So the offline virtual machine is going to start up. We can see that we're really just getting started here, so we'll watch this thing complete. The starting is successful. We're going to see the boot start to happen. And we can monitor it in our window down here. For the sake of time, we'll go ahead and launch this. This will happen automatically. I'm going to go ahead and fast start it, though, rather than waiting the 15 seconds. So now we'll see our server start to boot. When this comes up, this is going to be an exact replica. So the machine name is going to be Soundgarden. The static IP address is going to be the same as the number that I've assigned. We should see my clock file on there, which will be our proof that it's a recent backup. And everybody on the network is going to be able to print. Right now, printing is down since we have that machine off, and so everybody's going to be able to print. I don't need to call them and tell them to reboot their machine. I don't need to have them do anything different or special. And if I want to, rather than rebuilding this session from my backup now, I can simply go live with this. And even though I'm running off the appliance, I can export this virtual guest onto one of my production hosts and run it that way. I can convert it from a VHD into a VMDK. If I'm a VMware shop, maybe rather than backing this up to an appliance, I want to create these offline virtual machines right on some of my VMware hosts, or maybe I have a backup VMware host. I can create this natively as a VMDK and start that way. So a lot of ways to set this up to fit into the different environments that you all are running to make it a thorough and effective product for you. So we're almost logged in here, or we're almost booted up, I should say. As soon as we are, we'll log in and take a look. Okay, that just started, so we're rolling, right? The recovery is happening automatically now. Now, I can also set this to be more of a manual start, so rather than letting the system choose when to start up these offline virtual machines, I can get an email alert, and then I can go and do maybe a visual inspection or do whatever I want to do before I actually start my recovery process here. So the offline virtual machine is going to start up. We can see that we're really just getting started here, so we'll watch this thing complete. The starting is successful. We're going to see the boot start to happen. Now our machine is starting up. So we'll give this a few minutes to boot up here. This is going to be, again, an exact replica. So on the network, it's going to be identified as Soundgarden, not UDP VM Soundgarden. And it's going to have the same static IP address. So once this is up, all the users are going to be able to print and take advantage of all the services that this server offers without them having to log out and log back in, do a reboot of their workstations or anything like that to be able to get connected. The network's going to have no idea that anything has happened other than print services weren't available for a short time. Now I'm going to get an alert letting me know that this is fired up, that my production machine is having issues, so I can come in and start figuring out what's going on. But while I'm doing that, I'm taking care of the environment. So as soon as we come back in here, we'll log in, we'll see our clock file, and we'll call it a wrap. All right, we're ready to log in. All right, we're in. Let's go ahead and double click on our picture. Same picture that we've been looking at all day. I've recovered in less than 10 minutes, full on, ready to start serving the environment. Now, once I rebuild this production server or make the repairs or changes or whatever I need to do, I can take a backup off of this and redeploy, or I can simply shut this down, put it back into failover mode, and go live with my production machine. So to sum up, right, what we're talking about here is changing the mindset. If you have not already embraced disk-to-disk technology, that's the next step for you. And then we can start talking about infinite incrementals, backing up at the right times, creating backup cycles that make sense for your current environment to give you the service that you need. Put tape where it belongs, only for archiving, right, and modernizing that RTO, RPO capability so that you can do a better job of taking care of your business and meeting your internal or external SLA needs. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your time.